Don Mazzella here again for Small Business Digest. We're always glad when we get to it on the program. It's such an important part of small business. We have with us today Sandy Edwards. She's going to tell us about a very interesting new study, but before she does, she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and a little bit about her company, because everybody knows it, but then most people don't know it. And finally, a very long website where you can get this study. Sandy, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Don. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love any opportunity I get to talk more about small businesses and specifically the role of payroll and kind of benefits and human capital management in the success of small businesses. So to start off with, I'm the director of product for QuickBooks Payroll, and my team does product. We build the products and services that our QuickBooks Payroll customers use every day. And I also lead the compliance operations team. So that's the team of tax experts that we have that research all of the changes in laws and make sure that our products are 100% compliant so our customers have peace of mind and confidence that their payroll is done right. And so that team, I've been leading it now for 5 years. And I like to say I have a long history and passion for payroll. I'm one of the few people, I think, that really get really excited when it comes to accounting and payroll. And so I originally started before my Intuit career. I was a small business owner myself, and I also ran McDonald's franchises and kind of got my foot into accounting and small business and kind of the plight of small businesses back then. Once that kind of career came to an end and I was ready for something new, I started to become a part-time support person for QuickBooks Online when it first launched. And that kind of started me on this like real love of like finding ways to build better products and services for our small business customers. And I kind of worked my way up through Intuit in the last, I won't say how many, more than 10 years, to where I am today. And I couldn't be prouder to work with this company and to continue to help QuickBooks solve these really important problems for small businesses. I think that's a little bit about me, my journey, a little bit about our company, right? Intuit. Our mission is to power prosperity around the world, and specifically for QuickBooks in the small business and self-employed division, we focus on the success of small businesses, empowering prosperity for them specifically. And so one of the things that we focus on in payroll is making sure that we are delivering services that help our small businesses manage their teams as successfully as possible. And a key part of that is powering employee prosperity. And so we sponsored this study because we really wanted to understand how the workforce and the what's happening for small businesses has been changed recently. And so there's a lot of really interesting insight coming out of this study that helps us understand kind of where the biggest pain points are for small businesses. So the study itself is focused on, again, kind of what pains our small businesses are facing specifically in with the worker management, but also a little bit more in like how to manage workforce, hire and retain talent, and kind of be overall successful. And so you can find the study at quickbooks.com on our blog. I'm going to post the link really quickly in the chat. If you're watching this on video, you can get the chat. If not, you can find it on the QuickBooks website under our blog and look for the study. Oh, it's not copying and pasting for me. All right, I'll get to that in just a minute, Don. I'll get the link pasted. So
Well, we don't have to now. By the way, that's one of the best introductions I've heard in a long time. Thank you. It's
I'm so
amazing
happy.
how people, when they're on, some people can be boastful and others are, and that was really great.
Thank
But
you.
but let's now talk about the study. What are some of the things that came out of the study that you found interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the very top level, right, what we saw was, and it's not surprising, quite frankly, that small businesses are facing like a myriad of new challenges right now with the current work and with the current environment, right? Like not dissimilar to what we're facing as families, but there are massive pressures around inflation. We all know there's supply chain issues all over the map. We see empty grocery store shelves. We know things are taking longer for things to ship. All of us, I'm sure, have been impacted by supply chains. Small businesses are severely impacted by supply chain issues. And then there's also just the constantly changing, ongoing pandemic related disruptions, right? Like we know, even personally, trying to keep up with all of the different mandates and local laws and recommendations from all the different agencies is challenging. And so small businesses also face that to make sure they're keeping their employees healthy and safe, and also continuing to operate their business. And so that's a huge amount of things facing small businesses. But the single biggest thing that continues to come up, and I think we see this in the work we do every day when we talk to our customers and understand what's happening for them, is worker shortages, right? Small businesses have historically struggled with attracting and retaining top talent, and that's just becoming amplified now because of the worker shortage, right? They struggle to offer the same big benefits of companies, the same higher wages, the same kind of big company employee experience, we call it, right? And so this poll really validated that, and it brings some great insights into what's happening for them and why it's important. So the one for me that sticks out, that is really related to what we're doing right now in my role, is that 23% of small business employees said that they have limited to no benefits in their from their employer. And we know that through this study that employees that have even limited benefit packages are less likely to look for another job than ones with no benefits at all. So it's a great thing to offer small businesses to help retain that talent, to prevent them from looking from other places, right? So that's a big one. And continuing, and one of the things that we've done at QuickBooks Payroll in the last few years is really leaned in to making sure we're offering these benefits to small businesses at a price and an availability that wasn't before accessible, right? So they have group health insurance plans available, dental, vision, 401k retirement. All these things are really important for some of the small business workers that are struggling to make ends meet each month. So yeah, those are the big ones so far.
Let me ask you a question there. Everything you say, we've seen in our own studies and people
Yeah.
we talk with. But the question is, I remember several years ago pointing out that healthcare costs for small business was their number one concern a few years ago. And healthcare is still an expensive proposition. And if you have 7 employees, let's use a small number, and you just say, I'm going to give them a basic plan, you're talking maybe 214 or about $3,000 more a month.
And
Um,
expenses, yeah.
or, not per employee, but even at the barest plan. And that oftentimes is a difference between profit and loss for a small business.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the studies seem to justify that as an expense that
Yeah, it's
I'll
worth
let
it.
you talk.
Yeah. It's absolutely worth the investment. And I think, I think to start, right, what we've been able to do through partnerships with Simply Insured is bring better value packages to small businesses, and also educate them on how they can make that decision between how much is company paid and how much is employee paid, and know that that investment of whether it's a couple $1,000s or $1,000 every month is worth it, because it's going to help them attract and retain better talent. And so while before maybe they were okay getting away without that benefits package, now it's becoming more and more critical because the race to attract talent is just heated right now. And so it's absolutely a great investment in the small business, and hopefully the tools and education we give our small businesses will help give them confidence it's the right investment to make.
Mm. But the question I have is 4 or 5 years ago, we said we had people that had dropped out of the workforce. So they said millions and millions of people had dropped out. Now they're saying there's nobody. Where did everybody go?
Yeah, I think that's a question we all have every day when we read the headlines on the news. I think we have a lot yet to understand about what's happening in the workforce, right? The workforce has shifted materially, right? Some people have just decided to change jobs and become self-employed. Some people are deciding that it's more important to stay at home. There's a lot of changes in the workforce right now, and I don't think necessarily we understand in depth all that's happened and changed. And these studies will continue to help us kind of get a better understanding of the new workforce that we have, after COVID. So
Well,
go
let's
ahead,
go
sorry.
on. What
Yeah.
else did you find in the study that you think we might be interested in?
Yeah, I think the second thing that was not a surprise, but something that I was actually delighted to see was that not always just about the money when it comes to employees, right? It can feel often from a small business, it can feel like, I can't pay as much as my big competitors. I can't give the better benefits package. But what we really saw in the data in a number of different places was that it's often about the quality of the work that you're doing and the quality of the culture. And so perks and flexibility can make a big impact, and something that small businesses can offer at not a very high cost um, to their employees, right? So making sure that you have scheduling software that allows employees to decide when to work and when not to work, that you have a PTO policies in place and that's tracked so that you can give employees a little bit of time off to spend with their families, that you maybe have a small gift card or some other small perks program where you can reward employees for a job well done. All those things are small, but when you combine them together, it has a big impact on the employee satisfaction and their likelihood to stay with you as their employer, right? And when those things are absent, they're more likely to leave and find someplace else that feels like a more engaging place to work.
Hmm.
So there's lots of
Before,
other things besides money, right? You can throw at it, which is great when it comes to small businesses, right?
I had an editor that once told me, "Forget the bylines, just give me the money." But that's
Right. Yeah.
but let's stop here. The website again, how people can see this study.
So go to quickbooks.com and look for the blog on the top right, and then in the blog you'll see it as one of the top ones.
Okay, let's go. Let's go on. Let me ask you this question: what did you discover about working at home versus going in, etc.?
Yeah, I think that was another big piece of kind of the non-monetary benefits that small businesses can offer, right? That flexibility includes work from home. You can see I'm working from home. I work from home frequently, and so it supports a flexible work where we work sometimes in the office and sometimes at home. Um, Small businesses who have that option, that's a big way to attract talent. We know that workers, especially women, are looking for that kind of flexibility, so that they can create better work-life balance and like remove commute time, be available to pick kids up. There's lots of benefits that come from offering that. So small businesses that obviously not all can, because you can't do some jobs from home, but where it's possible for small businesses, that's another big investment to make. And I know that many employers, and again, being a small business owner myself before, it can feel scary to let go of that and let employees work from home, right? But it kind of goes with the whole idea of building a employee culture where you're empowering your employees, where you're trusting your employees, where you have perks, where they are committed and loyal to you and are doing their best work. All those things go a long way, and work from home is a big part of that one.
But let's go a little further on that one.
Sure.
Oh, did your survey talk about was there higher instance of theft, etc., or malfeasance?
No, we didn't see anything. And again, I don't think we went into that level of detail. I just think that's like again, coming from my own experience, I know in many of the small businesses that I've talked to, including ones that are our customers or ones that I know personally, that's often a concern for them, is that just feels it's just a big culture shift, right? We're all going through these big culture shifts, right? It felt weird when we all came home and had to work from home, and now we've adjusted. And so it feels weird going back to the office. So it's just one of those things that we have to transition and educate our small businesses so that they feel comfortable and confident in what they're doing.
Well, did you get into the idea that if you don't commute, you're actually saving money? Do you have anything on that?
So I think especially for women, the commute was a big issue and reducing that, saving money on gas. I think again, the 31% said that working from home was something that they highly value when they're looking for a job. I don't, there wasn't a ton of specifics in why that was, but you can kind of extrapolate from our own experiences why it's nice to just not have to commute every day, and saving gas money, saving expense on your car, um, stuff like that.
Um, well, I was looking at more at babysitter when I saw,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
well, in Chicago, it's $15 to $25 an hour to
Yeah.
babysit. But anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I've tried to have kids while I'm working, and it is challenging. It is not low stress. So, it's very hard.
what else in the study that you found interesting?
Yeah, I think when you go back down, like what small businesses can do to kind of like, I think overall small businesses probably are underutilizing a lot of these important things that they don't necessarily know that they know they could offer and have a big impact. And so another one is um, employees, especially now in this day and age, they really value having the ability to kind of work on things that they're passionate about or do things that they're excited about. And so that's again a small thing that you can look for those opportunities as a small business owner to find ways to give back in your community with your employees. You can find ways to help make sure your employees are working on things that they're passionate about, that you're hiring and retaining employees that are passionate about the work that you do. All those things go a long way in making sure your employees are happy. It's again one of the top things that employees cited in things that they value. Um, in their in their role or in their job, and stops them from looking for other things. So personal passions, helping foster that. I think for small business owners it's challenging because they're running their business day to day, and so it takes some intention to step back and kind of look at your employee experience and look at what's happening for them and make sure that you're doing um, all the things that you can do to make that experience really strong, just like you would approach your customers. Like your customer experience as a small business is really important. Putting that same intention behind your employee experience can help you save a lot of money in turnover and retention and training, and help you really retain the best talent, which ultimately just helps you grow your business.
Are there any generational issues, older versus younger, that you saw?
Yeah, we saw some differences in generation, not as much as you would expect. I would say that was some of the insights. Um, Things like work from home that you would expect maybe would be more important for the younger generation actually was just as important or really close to the older generation too. There were some really interesting insights around women and the things that women value. Again, like work from home, but also their interest in flexible work hours and following their passion was higher than our male counterparts, which I think is really interesting when you think about engaging your workforce and who you have working there. Lots of interesting stuff around that. 22% of small business employees aged 35 to 54 work multiple jobs, right? When you think about like, that's another one that we would have guessed that would be more of the younger generation, but it turns out it's not. Lots of small business employees are struggling financially and need that extra cushion that a second job provides them.
Hmm.
The whole idea of a side hustle, right, is just as relevant for the my generation as it is for the younger generation.
Let's look at it from the management side. As a manager, if I see someone that has a side hustle, I have to, and he or she is at home. How do I know that that person is devoting the 27 hours to me that he or she promised in the 13 hours?
Yeah, I think that's like one of the struggles that we face every day, especially in the remote workforce, right? I think it's a fine line for employers to make sure that they're tracking and understanding what their employees are doing. It's a fine line between that and then kind of being the big brother, like on
Hmm.
their computer tracking. And so one of the things that we always recommend for small businesses is to um, set your expectations really clear about what you're asking your employees to do. Use QB Time is a great software to ask your employees to track what they're doing, log their projects. There's mobile location and geolocation. So you know where they're clocking in from. So if they're on a job site or at home, you could tell specifically. And it's been implemented in a way that feels very uh, employee centric, as opposed to it feeling kind of like somebody's watching you all the time. So I would highly recommend to utilize anything, like any tools like that are designed for that kind of employee tracking. And then again, the more that you build out your employee workforce to be engaged and committed and empowered, the more that you can trust them to be delivering what you need them to be delivering. But it is challenging for sure in this environment.
It's a big leap.
It's a
From
big
my
leap.
gen
That's right.
as a manager from my generation, that's a big leap. But we
Yeah,
only have
yeah.
a couple of minutes left. I want to ask one
Okay.
question. Was there any data about in terms of blacks, Hispanics, white, and other in
Yeah,
ter
there is. Let me pull it up because I don't have all of it memorized really quickly. There was some data in there about it, right? And really at Intuit, we really focus on powering employee prosperity for everybody. And so but there was a significant racial disparity, right? 29 between 29 and 31% for Hispanic, 29% for Black, and 31% for Hispanic. Small business workers are nearly twice as likely to have multiple jobs compared to their white counterparts, right? So we definitely see um, our racial minorities having to work multiple jobs to make ends meet. Super interesting insight. Again, our mission is to power prosperity for everybody. And so we really work hard through our employee offerings like early pay. We're just launching a way for our employees of our small businesses to get access to their paychecks in between paychecks if they have a last minute emergency through Intuit. So we create a short-term small loan. They can do it right in their worker app. It's a low cost. It's meant to replace check cashing places or loans on the street corner. I mean, not street corner, but you know, in the
loan sharks?
shopping mall. Loan sharks. That's right. Exactly. Thank you for that, Don. Um, and it's been hot. It's just now kind of in development and starting to launch, so it's coming soon for most of our workers. So that's another way we're trying to help make sure that we create financial stability for our employees.
Unfortunately, we're coming towards the end of this. You have 2 minutes. What would you like to leave our audience with?
I will start where I will end where I started, right? Which is small businesses are under a lot of pressure right now with the economy, COVID pressures, supply chain issues, but the hiring and retaining talent continues to be the biggest challenge for them. And I think through this study, we were able to recognize that small businesses probably have a lot of levers at their disposal that they're underutilizing right now to track and retain that talent, some of which resides in utilizing solutions like our QuickBooks Payroll that offers comprehensive benefits and PTO and early pay employee loans and features like that give our small businesses a big company feel in a small company and allows them to deliver those benefits to their small businesses. But there's also other levers they can pull around employee engagement, small gift certificates, ways to recognize their talent, ways to help engage their employees to work on things they're passionate about. And again, we don't think that they're utilizing them as enough as they could to better compete in the workforce. And so hopefully this poll will help bring that to light, and hopefully our services and education help employees, small businesses better serve their employees and attract and maintain talent so they can ultimately be more profitable and stable as a small business.
And your website one last time?
QuickBooks.com. If you want to see payroll, it's /payroll. And if you want to go to the blog, you can look at the resources at the top and find the blog and check out the study.
Well, on that note, we have to say, Sandy, thank you so much for me, a very illuminating time. Thank you.
Awesome. This was a delight. Thanks, Don, very much for having me.